Hi, I'm Kelly, and welcome to Kelly Loves Books and Movies. Today I'm just going to be giving a wrap up of what I read in August. August was kind of I only read 4 books in August, and I mean, in the past I would have said that was a lot, but in the last 3 or 4 months, it doesn't seem like a lot, but I mean, August is one of my busiest months at work, so with regular work and part-time jobs. So I didn't have a whole lot of free time to read, but and when I did have free time, I was pretty tired and reading was not something I wanted to do. But I still got 4 books done. The first up, okay, the first book I read, The Happiness of Pursuit. I actually got it from the library on ebook, and then I liked it so much and thought it was something I would want to refer to again and again. I bought a used copy. This book is about it says finding the quest that will bring purpose to your life. Okay, it's story time. I certainly have different friends, friends or people that I know who have always had like this burning desire to do like the one thing, and it's like driven like to do a certain thing or a challenge. And I've had those in my mind, but I've never had like one thing that's like, oh my gosh, I need to do this. And it kind of hit me when I was a few months ago. Well, more than that. I think this is, if you know who Casey Neistat is, he's like the godfather of YouTube, pretty much. With his daily vlogging, and he pioneered the genre. Let's just say that. And he doesn't make a lot of videos anymore, but he made one 5-6 months ago now. And honestly, I haven't watched everything he's ever done, but this was really, really great. And the video was Sisyphus and the Impossible Dream. So when he was like in his 20s, he got in an accident, and the doctor said he would never run again. And in that moment, he was like, I'm gonna run a marathon in under 3 hours. And he made that goal. And right away, he got better and he started running marathons. And the first couple were not even close, kind of awful. He didn't really prepare properly. But then after that, from let's see, I think he, starting with about his 3rd marathon, he started getting really close. And, he trained, and he was getting in the just over 3 hours, like 3:10, down to 3:05, 3:04, 3:03. But he still wasn't getting under, you're running a marathon in like 3 hours and 5 minutes. It's pretty amazing. And then, years go by, he keeps trying, he gets married, has kids, and that's all, obviously a deterrent. And then he still keeps trying. And then, at 42, he tried, he was like, okay, I got to do this. I'm getting older. It's hard enough to run a marathon, but when you're in your 40s, it's even harder to get that under 3-hour marathon. So at 42, in the New York Marathon, is like, he got so close. It was 3:01, and you're like, oh my gosh, you're 42 years old and you run a marathon in 3 hours and 1 minute. And most people at that point would be like, close enough, but not Casey. He did it again a few weeks later, like a month and a half later, and in his 25th marathon, 17 years of trying, he ran a marathon in 2 hours and 57 minutes. So, and that I was like, when I saw that, it was a great video, just the storytelling and obviously the whole thing, because he's like the king of that sort of thing. But I didn't have that one thing. Now, obviously his came from a place of getting, in an accident and someone telling him, you can't do this and you won't be able to do this again. And him just, yeah, I'm going to do it. And not only do it to the extreme. And I have a friend who also is this big project, and she's doing bike. Well, her father started the project many, many years ago, like in the 80s probably, and now he's too old to continue. She's continuing it in her own way. But anyway, all these together, I'm like, I always have these things I want to do, but I don't really have a strong purpose or a strong, like, okay, I want to do this. And this book popped up somewhere along the line, and I'm like, maybe I should read that, and then I will come up with something, and it will help me figure something out. And this really is broken down into the beginnings, journey, routine, transformation, and then, and his own goal was to visit every single country in the world. And he did it. I mean, obviously, that's not really a spoiler. There's no spoilers in this book. This book is all about people who had dreams, who had some sort of quest, and not so much in the actual details of how they did it, but the why, what kept them going, what kept them motivated, what happened when they were finished. It's really about the whole journey and doing things that it's really about the journey and not necessarily the, actual thing. So yeah, this is motivating me. I still don't really know what my thing is. I feel like I should have a thing, but I have a couple minor, tiny things, and not everything in this, the people in here are like huge things, like, or in like huge physical challenges. A lady, she wanted to go to all the countries, but she's, a mom in the middle of the country. Her thing was to cook on something new from a country every week. So try a new recipe from some country. She went through every, I don't remember if it was every country, but so many. And there were a couple other ones. They're not all major, huge things that, like, some of them are. Obviously, visiting every country in the world is a big task. And, like, there's a guy who walked across the United States. That's a big task. But they're not all, and I feel like figuring it out. I have two minor things that, like, a long time ago I read a book about pizza, and and this guy was like, well, I've, had thousands of slices of pizza, and I'm like, well, one of my things is to eat 500 different pizzas, and, keep track, and, and I'm kind of doing that. And the other thing I came up with that I've been thinking about, because I've been getting into birding more, is like, I want to photograph 1,000 different birds. So those are my things, sort of. I still feel like that's not really the thing, so it's going to take me a while, and that's why I actually bought a copy of the book after I read it, because I think I'm going to come back to this more often than not for inspiration and just, maybe some focus, because focus has never been my thing. Okay, next up, I read People on Vacation from Emily Henry. Another just fun, cute book. I'm finding I'm really liking, I think that's the second book of hers I read now. I'm really enjoying them. They're just light, fun reads. Yeah. I definitely am going to pick up more of her things. Definitely going to read more of her books eventually. She's got quite a few of them, and they're a really fun, light thing. And I've said that 6 times, but you know what I mean. Alright, next up was A Complicated Passion, the life and work of Agnes Varda. Now, this is another story time. First of all, this just came out. I read it from my hardest reading challenge you could ever do. The one that is read a book in the month it was, released, and this just came out at the end of August. And when I saw that on the list, I was like, on a list of new releases, I was like, it's definitely a book I'm going to read. I might as well get it and read it for that. So this was pre-ordered, and when it came, I dove right in. And it took me a while, and that's the other reason I think I didn't read quite so much this month, because this was just so packed full of information, and every, 5 pages I'd be like, oh, where's that? I'd be, looking up other things and getting out my map, and, oh, where's this? Because I'm kind of a map geek, too, so anytime they're talking about places, I always want to see where it is and what's around it, and so there was a lot of that in this book. Okay, so here's the story. About whenever Faces Places came out, I think it was 2017 or 2018, and they had it at AFI Film Festival, which for about 2-3 years I went to. So they showed it, and the subjects of the documentary, Agnes and the artist JR, were talking afterwards, and it just was great. I mean, I had known of Agnes Varda beforehand, but not, I think I had seen a couple of shorts, and then just from the Faces Places and her talking, totally fell in love. I wanted to see every single thing from that moment on, everything she'd ever done, but which I still have not done. I've seen a lot, but so when this came out, I was like, yes, I have to watch it. I went to Paris maybe 2019, and it was my first trip there, and so far my only, but not my last. And I had meant to do some Agnes Varda pilgrimage kind of things, but it just didn't work out, so I definitely have to go and do that again soon. So, Agnes Varda is a filmmaker. She is really the only female member of the French New Wave. She started making films in 50s? Late 50s, early 60s probably, and funnily enough, she really started out as a photographer and a visual artist. Eventually started making the movies, and even toward the end, still much more of a visual artist. She made a lot of documentaries, a lot of short documentaries. Anyway, yes, this is a great book. It goes through her life. There's certainly things I knew, certainly things I didn't know, and I want to, and she never, quit. Up until the end, she was still making movies and creating and learning, and there were 2 quotes in the book, not from her, but about her, or that they used to describe her. One was, the author quoted Edith Wharton, and the quote is, in spite of illness, in spite even of the archenemy sorrow, one can remain alive long past the usual date of disintegration if one is unafraid of change, insatiable in intellectual curiosity, interested in big things, and happy in small ways. And the other quote is from Alonso Duralde, who this was actually in a review in The Wrap, which he no longer writes for. He writes for something else. He has his own podcast, Linoleum Knife, which is one of my absolute favorite podcasts, and their little family of podcasts that they have for their Patreons. But anyway, Alonso said, many filmmakers have taught me how to look at the world. Agnes Varda also taught me how to age. As I get older and new technology rolls in, I wonder if I really need to embrace it. Then I look at Varda, immerse herself in new technology, experiences, and people. She's not only preserving her prior work, but making new and engaging work with the old. So yeah, those quotes I think sum up Agnes Varda very well, especially in the latter part of her life. I loved this biography. Of course I would. And so if you are interested in women filmmakers, I think this could, the whole, what is it? I don't know. The tag recently about powerful women. Is it powerful women? I don't remember. Anyway, absolutely. The last book I read, The Librarianist. This book I was going to read for a book event event that was actually tonight, but I decided not to go because I have too many other things to do. But this book is about a retired librarian. At the beginning, he's just out doing his daily walk or whatever and winds up in an incident and helping and ending up in a retirement home kind of place. I would say it's more like assisted living because, well, where a few retirees live and then like other people come and spend the day there. He winds up volunteering there. And then he gets into his story about, how he became a librarian, his life, his wife, how that went. His wife ends up leaving him for his best friend, sort of that thing. And there's kind of a little twist in here, and you're like, what? At the time you read it. And then, so then it goes back and kind of tells the whole story. Mostly I liked it. There is I wanted to know more about his life once his wife left him. And it doesn't really get into that a lot. Up until, because his wife left him in his 20s. They were only married. They got married, he was 25. I'll just say 25-ish. And he never married again. But then, you pick up to when he is, retired and the story began. So there's a whole chunk of you don't really know what happened in that time, but then, which I wanted to know more about. And then there's this whole other story that happened of a time of his when he was a kid, he ran away. And I thought that story was kind of you really, it was long and convoluted, and I was like, this book would have been much better without that part of the story, or at least a much more condensed version of that story, I thought. Or that could be a whole different, I don't know. It was interesting. But overall, I liked it. I just didn't like that little diversion story. So that's everything I read in August. I don't know what I'm going to be reading in September. I'm reading Thursday Murder Club with the intent of reading that whole series. I'm almost done with it. So far, it's pretty good. Not my favorite, but I will probably talk about that next month. Anyway, thanks for watching. See y'all next time.